Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 show to bring you all things Club America and English.
Oh, what a strike! Club America!
Your hosts for today are Ivan Pineda, Cristian Rosendo, Alexis Juarez, and everyone's favorite cowboy, Dylan Jimenez. Go! Now let's hit the field and start the show.
America!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Eagle Eye Podcast. Today, we're going to be recapping everything that happened in Nuevo León as America ended up beating Tigres 3-1 on the road. And then, of course, we are going to be previewing the upcoming match against Olimpia in this Azteca for the second round of the rounds of 16 match against Olimpia in the CONCACAF Champions League. And then, of course, we're going to end the night by previewing what is arguably the biggest game this weekend on any television. It is going to be the Clasico Joven, America versus Cruz Azul. Let me introduce, as always, my co-host for today. It is none other than Brooklyn's very own AJ, and returning after a much-awaited return, it is the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend. It is our very own beloved cowboy, Dylan Jimenez. Gentlemen, how are we tonight?
Doing good. Had aerobic training, working the muscles out, becoming young Arnie out here. But here I am, ready to talk everything to America.
Definitely. Dylan, it's very, very much long awaited, and a lot of people have asked for it. Welcome back, my friend.
Well, thanks, Ivan. Hey, Jay, how y'all doing? Hope everything's going good. I'm doing pretty good myself, so just looking forward to being back for probably just this week.
Well, we'll see if it's this week or more. We'll have to wait for the future to decide that for ourselves. But Chris Rivera is saying, welcome back, Dylan, with that cowboy emoji right there. And look, we're excited to have our beloved cowboy back. Christian is still not available. He, unfortunately, is the one injured this time. He picked up a fractured tibula after going in the airport, after leaving Foot Call headquarters. Don't ask me how it happened. It just did. And so he's going to be out for another week. So Christian, unfortunately, not going to be here for this episode, but we are awaiting his return for hopefully in the comments and next week on the podcast. But all right, gentlemen, let's talk America versus Tigres, a game that we came into, AJ, feeling a little bit more optimistic, especially knowing that, we were coming on, somewhat of a good form, and we definitely cemented that in Nuevo León at Tigres Stadium in the Volcan, a stadium which I would argue has never really been America's favorite place to go at, but in recent times, we've seemed to be able to get results in that situation. So talk to me a little bit more about this game. How did you feel coming away from it? 3 points at the end of the day, a 3-1 result. I mean, just overall thoughts and opinions in regards to this matchup.
I feel really great. We did what we had to do away, and the scoreline shows it. 3-1. I was pretty satisfied with it overall. There really wasn't that big of an issue. Guignac was just nowhere to be seen in that match, and I felt like our defense did a pretty good job. Especially we got to see Bruno Valles play his very first league game, and I'm missing in his first start of the season, which is great to see. Roger Martinez, he was something else. I don't know what he had before the game, but that first goal, he just said to his teammates, I'm taking on this entire Tigres side, and that's exactly what he did. That goal from Pedro Aquino, what a golazo. Amazing. And then Roger Martinez then seals the deal with that one-on-one against Nahuel Guzman, which originally got ruled offside, even though it was clearly not offside. He got a goal, and that's how the game ended, really. All in all, really satisfied. We got our 3 points. We repeated what we did last time, and that was beating them 3-1 last season. And look at that. And the scoreline here, it's again 3-1.
History repeats itself, AJ. History tends to repeat itself, and it does so against Tigres in their stadium now. And obviously, I think you have to take into consideration Tigres has not been the Tigres that many people have expected them to be. Especially, I think they've definitely tanked after the Club World Cup. But if by those standards, does that mean that we can take on Bayern? Does that mean that we beat Bayern 3-2?
Hell yeah. I mean, heck, Mazatlan even defeated Tigres. At this point, everyone's like, pull Mazatlan up in their play against Bayern. So
yeah, I think we could definitely pull it back against Bayern. I have full faith in our team now to do so. I mean, I mean, what more could we say about this game, right? I think it was a well-rounded matchup. That's not to say that it was the most perfect game as well, because AJ, I do think that definitely we definitely get carried away by the emotions, especially by the way that this result comes. I mean, you just mentioned it, a brilliant performance by Roger Martinez, and then of course, then you get the absolute screamer of a goal from Pedro Aquino. I mean, obviously, those things kind of highlight and kind of, overlap the whole game. And that's kind of what people are taking away from it. But I do think that there was a bit of faults here and there. It's not to say that Tigres were just, nullified the whole 90 minutes. They had their moments. They had their chances. Ochoa, I think, came up with 2 pretty big saves. And before that, I think that they were definitely knocking at the door. So, I mean, there's still things to kind of, look and take away from this and be like, okay, I like this, but there's still stuff that we have to work on. Bruno Valdez being one specifically. I think he was the weakest link in that defense. And George Sanchez, again, not having, a good game in my eyes. I feel like he got, he misplaced a couple of balls here and there and in dangerous positions, and then of course he went and I think he got beat a couple of times too. Something not typically seen from George Sanchez. Not to say that he had the worst of games either too, but I think that there's a couple of things that we kind of need to highlight because we have praised his defense for doing so well. But I think that this one was one of their more shakier matches in regards to what we've seen in the season. But Dylan, are you there, my friend?
He is muted, unfortunately.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, there you go. I didn't know whether you were here or not, but you are. I just want to hear your takes on this. What was your final kind of overall opinion in regards to this America 3-1 over Tigres in the Volcan?
I think you kind of hit it on it a little bit for me when you talked about this team not necessarily playing, I guess in a sense, not the perfect game. Overall, I actually kind of want to put this up there with being one of Solari's best game with the team so far. I think, taking into consideration, even though, like you kind of said, that Tigres hasn't been the same Tigres as they have been. They seem to have dipped off a little bit after the Club World Cup. I still think, you look at the roster and you look at ours, I still think we pretty much went toe-to-toe with this team. And, we took it to them. Yeah, there were some chances where, they got away from us. Obviously the goal that Tigres had obviously got called back, the first one. So overall, I think it was a pretty solid game for me. Obviously not perfect, but I think this game goes up there with one of Solari's best games so far.
No, and I think you're right in that aspect, because you look at something that we've criticized a lot this season, and that's the lack of goals that America has had, in regards to their games. We're talking about a 1-goal, 2-goal margin at best. And now again, on the road, funny enough, like we did against Chivas, now this time against Tigres, we score 3 goals, which I think is something very much to applaud to this team. Because sometimes we are a little bit lacklustrous and we don't put away all of our chances. And I think this time, we were definitely a little bit more solid and a little bit more sharp in our finishing. And that's definitely something to kind of take away from this. But kind of overall in the first half, I think that America did well. I don't know if you agree with me, Dylan, in this, but I think that they managed the game very well in the first half. I think that we took the game to Tigres the way that we always want to see America do so. Maybe there's a bit of a dip after the goal, but I kept seeing more promising signs than anything else.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think, what would you say about maybe the last 10 minutes of the half? It seemed we kind of let things slip away a little bit and let Tigres get more possession, more pressure a little bit. So that is the part that kind of, I guess in a sense, worried me, because, yeah, I know this is Solari, this isn't Piojo, but I think, just looking at the past and this track record of this team, the team, can kind of dip off, towards the end of the first half and then come back in the second half, and it's a whole completely different game. I know we were talking about the first half, but I think you kind of saw that at the beginning of the second too. It seemed like Tigres was, putting the pressure, doing more, and it kind of worried me a little bit, because you're like, okay, like, can this team turning it around, or are we going to see this the whole second half?
Definitely. I think the one thing that worries us the most is that it looks like this team feels very comfortable with a 1-0 margin. And Angie, I don't know about you, but that is not enough to be sitting comfortably and kind of soaking up pressure. I think that we need to see America close out a little bit stronger and, manage the game a little bit better. It's not to say that it was a terrible, way to manage it. And, I think the game would have been a different one if Tigres ends up getting that equalizer in the first half when we saw that goal get kind of ruled back. But, just kind of your overall thoughts and kind of what me and Dylan were just saying right now.
Yeah, no. 1-0 leads are definitely not enough, and that's not something just because you scored in the 6th minute, you should just be like, okay, we're fine for now. No. Keep finding those opportunities we can get to get ourselves another goal added to the scoreline for us, because like you mentioned, when Data scored their first goal but got ruled for offside, I think at that point we kind of woke up. It's like, oh, okay, no, the game is not over. We still have a lot of minutes to go in the first half and in the second half. So we had some opportunities for us, but just the end product wasn't there in that first half. The second half was a completely different story, but I just would have liked to see, if you had a 1-0 lead, score in the 6th minute, let's build up on that scoreline. Let's keep adding more goals.
Definitely. I agree with you there in that aspect. Look, we have your Uncle Eagle here saying, where is Christian? Well, you weren't here for the beginning. He is out, unfortunately, with a tibia injury. He'll be out for another week or so. And then, of course, we have another comment here by your Uncle Eagle saying, OMG, Cowboy Dan, LOL, hi. So, Dylan, that is for you right there. You're right, AJ. I think that, things have to be a little bit more concrete in not just in the first half, but I think in the full 90 minutes, we want to see a much well-rounded America, which I think we have developed within the past couple of games. I think from the Jornada 3 America to the Jornada about to be 15. You're looking at a much, much more solid America, and I think if we can keep developing that, it's just going to bode well for us. And so we'll have to wait and see in regards to that aspect. AJ. Mm-hmm. Anything else to kind of highlight in the first half, or should we jump into the second?
Jump into the second.
Okay, well, it's exactly kind of how Dylan was putting it. I think we were a little bit more on the shakier side, but I think something kind of clicked in the side, and that I think is the one thing we need to highlight as well, is that I think there was an awareness from this team to say, look, okay, maybe we're being a little bit too easy on them. We're easing off a bit, and maybe we need to apply a little bit more of the pressure. We did so, and then you saw, the great goal by Pedro Aquino, and then of course Roger Martinez thinking it on the scoring sheet once again. My question to you guys, and Dylan, maybe I'll throw it to you first, is something that we always heavily criticized with Piojo was the substitutions. It was getting towards close to the 70th minute mark, and I was already starting to question as to, should we or should we not be thinking about a substitution at this point? Or did you think Solari had it under control the whole time?
I kind of felt indifferent, to be quite honest. I don't even remember the first substitution. Can somebody kind of remind me? The first one? It was Gio for Fidalgo, no? Because of injury?
Yeah, because of that reckless challenge on Fidalgo. If you guys didn't see his leg, my goodness. But that was the first. So, I think that was a little bit more forced than anything.
Yeah. So, if you think about it, you're not getting one to almost the 80th minute at that point. That's whenever Vinas came in for Roger. And then you get what, two more after 5 minutes later. Part of me was okay, are we gonna see some kind of substitution? Because I was thinking, okay, we got Conca champions coming up, what's Solari gonna do? But at the same time, I was like, well, you kind of said it too, Ivan. We got to give this team some kind of props into how they handle it, because I think they had that awareness of okay, we got too comfortable. Now let's pick things back up, which they pretty much did.
No, yeah, definitely. AJ, what were your thoughts?
The substitutions were fine, though. Could we have something a bit more earlier? Possibly, but I guess this was for Solari to get themselves pumped for the second leg that we're gonna have against Olympia, and as well we got the Clasico Joven right around the corner. So I think as well he wanted to probably get his starting 11 as much minutes as possible, because I feel like we potentially could be seeing a similar lineup against Cruz Azul, maybe one or two changes into the mix. But I just feel like They were good substitutions. Were they question ones? No, not really. I feel like they were the right substitutions to make. You take Roger out, play for Vinas, give him some time. Suarez in for Lainez. I like that too. And then we get to see Naveda go in for Pedro Aquino. That was also a good substitution as well by Solari. But all in all, it was good by him. Really. No, I don't really have anything to say about it.
Okay, interesting. Alrighty then. A couple of things right before we kind of wrap this up, because I know we have to talk about Olympia, and then of course we have our guest coming on shortly as well, and to talk about this Clasico Joven. One thing I do want to highlight is that the performance of Linus on the wing, I think, has been something that maybe has been a little bit undervalued, or maybe has gone a little bit under the radar for the past couple of weeks. But I think he's been putting on a shift, quite consistently. And I think against Tigres, he's definitely showcased it. And I mean, you saw exactly against Olympia as well what he was able to do down in Honduras. And so, I mean, kind of just overall thoughts in regards to Mauro Lainez, his impact so far on, into this club. I know that some people were a bit hesitant when he was signed. And I know a couple of us here didn't think that he was going to be a starter right off the bat, but he's definitely blown kind of expectations out of the water, and he's kind of cemented himself as that winger,
Yeah, I think he kind of said it. Go ahead, AJ.
Go on.
No, go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, no, I think you kind of said it, Ivan. I think you've seen his play improve week after week, and I think that's all it's going to do is just get better and better every week.
Interesting. I like it, AJ.
From the very first game we wondered, this is the guy that we got. You go to all the games that he has played up to at this very point, and I think it's like we made a good loan deal to get Lainez. That's the thing that sucks. He's on loan from Tijuana. After that, he goes right back. But I'm really enjoying him. A lot of people criticize him as first, but me, I never criticized him from the get-go. Maybe from that first game, actually, but from there on out, he's been improving with each and every single game. He comes to show how crucial of a left winger he is for this America side. And I just love what he brings to the team in every single game that he plays in for the full 90 minutes.
Definitely. Christopher is saying I was hyped for Mauro Lainez from the start. A workhorse, and he's growing as a player. He definitely is. And then we have Jacob saying Luis Fuentes and Mauro Lainez have been so underrated this season, and I think he definitely has hit something on the nail right there, because I think Luis Fuentes has definitely been a much better Luis Fuentes than what we had last season. But yeah, I mean, overall, props to that left-hand side. I know that's definitely was one of our most weakest side. And now the question is as to whether or not we're ever going to get a right winger, because I think we all can agree that we don't want to see Cordoba on the right-hand side. We'd rather see him in the middle, but then again, then you have Fidalgo, who is tearing it up at the moment. So internal competition, right? That's what we want to see. One last thing before we kind of wrap this up, I just want to talk about the goal that we concede. Again, yet another set piece that kind of seems to be our Achilles heel from time to time. It looks like, a header that's flicked back on, and then it looks like George Sanchez may have just lost his kind of marca right there, leaving Diego Reyes alone. Puts it in the back of the net. I mean, is this something that we need to be worried about? These set pieces coming back to haunt us? Or do you think that this is just a one-off thing, Dylan?
I don't know. I kind of feel indifferent. I mean, I get this feeling. I don't know how to explain this feeling I get whenever we have to defend a set piece. Like I'm just not confident there. So I mean, if that tells you the story, then that tells you the story. If not, then I don't know how to explain it then.
No, I mean, I think we're all kind of on the same page on this one. AJ?
Pain. That's all I gotta say. When it's a set piece, you just have the thing that says images that precede unfortunate events. Context America conceded from the set piece. It's something I would still just like for us to get a hang, just for us to get a hang of. If anything, it's just the players just having to just mark their defenders. Just I feel like set pieces aren't an issue. Just the time we kind of fall asleep, we can see they're like, oh, that just happened. Okay, but
yeah, it just seems to be that case. Ivan over here saying it's not the set pieces themselves, but the sort of clumsiness that occurs. And I think he's onto something there as well. And it's kind of what Dylan is saying, right? There's this kind of sense of like you're not confident it's not like you're not so much confident in the players, but you're just not confident in that kind of environment that they're putting themselves into. I think that they're just kind of running a little bit all over the place. Some people lose their mark, other people, trying to pick up, someone else's mark at the same time. It's just a lot of work being done. And so it is unfortunate, but I think it's something that America needs to work on, because if not, then it's going to be difficult, AJ has pain tattooed on his chest. He definitely does.
That'll be my very first tattoo. That'll be my first tattoo. Just I want to say pain. Why? Just pain.
Because just pain. We have Chris saying, should America be in the center back market due to that? Hold up.
Yeah,
due to that. Oh yeah, sorry. Obviously can't read anymore, guys. I don't know. AJ, what do you think? I think we have Cáceres there. I think we have Bruno there.
We have Cáceres, Bruno, Emma.
We have Ramon Juarez.
Ramon Juarez. Emilio Lara, if you want to bring him up. Yeah, we have him too, but
I feel like we're safe right now, right?
I'd say so. I'd say so, yeah. I think we're good. Oh, and Jordan Silva too, even though he's just a loan, but
no, he's get him out of the club. I don't even know why we brought him. Get him out of here. This is ridiculous. This is the worst money we've ever spent. I swear.
Watch him score the game-winning header in a final, and then we're
in the final. I'm just like, yes. I'm like, give him a contract to stay.
Cheryl's goodbye, just like from the Hunger Games. Just, I'm out.
There you go. If that's how it has to be, that's how it has to be. But overall, gentlemen, what would you give? What would you grade this in regards to kind of an A, B, C, D, or F? Dylan, I'll throw it to you first, because you said this is one of the more impressive games that Solari has had. What would you give this one?
I'd give this a solid B.
Solid B. Okay. AJ.
I was going with that too. B.
A B. I'm be a little bit more harsh. I'm giving a B minus.
Of course, you have to be different from the rest of us.
That's just me.
Well, I mean, I didn't think that was an option, but you just said A, B, C. And I was like, okay, B.
Which is still kind of in the B range, right? Because I just think that there was a little bit things here and there, and that set piece kind of, definitely brought the score down a little bit. But still, round of applause, because, for what America did, it's not easy. Even if Tigres are in the situation that they are, to go into the Volcan and to do what they did, again, not an easy thing to do, but glad that they were able to do so. And, we're going to moving on now, gentlemen, on to CONCACAF Champions League fever. We all have it now. Doctors have said officially that we are all contained. Well, that's probably not the right the right words to use in the situation that we are living in at the moment, right? But we all have CCL fever, and America is unfortunately only leading by 1 goal. AJ, giving you kind of a quick recap, because we did talk about this game last week, but give me a quick recap of what kind of you felt or what you saw against Olimpia in Honduras. I'll have Dylan do the same for me, and then we'll talk about this upcoming game against them in the Estadio Azteca and what possibly we could see lineup wise.
Olimpia, they played really tough. And you know how Honduras are. They're hard on their tackles. They do everything to their ability to hurt their opponents physically and mentally. Try to do as clean as possible and get the ball from us. It seems like at first I felt like we were expecting them a bit too much. It was tough for us to get anything going, really. But throughout that entire match, it just felt just worrisome slightly. Just like one of is anything going to happen? Is America going to bring the game to Olimpia? Is there going to be a point in time where they'll be able to? It happened in the last 5 minutes of the match, and of the first half, which I'm happy of. Federico Viñas with the header and Sergio Diaz with the great goal. Very happy with that, though I felt we could have potentially done more. We got CONCACAF as well as that match, because I don't understand how Olimpia got away with so many fouls that should have been yellow cards. But we got the first one, so I don't know how, but that's CONCACAF for you. Really unfortunate how we conceded a goal in the very last minute. Defense was just poor. And Ochoa, I'm sorry, your boy, I don't know what he was doing. Ivan, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he got caught in 2 minds, and then when it was time to slap that ball out, it was always going in. I was just
Oscar Jimenez would never.
Yeah, he would never even try to get down. He just been like, oh, it went in.
But yeah, no, just 2-1. The result could have been better. We conceded a goal. The bright side things, we have 2 away goals coming into this.
No, yeah, definitely. Dylan, how are you feeling coming into this one? I mean, AJ puts it kind of in pretty light here, saying that we have 2 away goals and that ultimately we get a result away in Honduras. But how are you feeling coming into this one?
Look, all I'm gonna say is I'm glad Bruno Valdez did not get shattered again.
Yes.
I don't know why he started that game still in Honduras, because AJ just put it freaking turkey on white bread with some freaking cheese on it, a sandwich, and said that they're hard on their tackles, they play rough, and I mean, God, you saw Bruno, grab his crotch and I thought, oh no, like, is this the end already? Like, you just came back.
At least it wasn't Benedetti in there, because if Benedetti was there, it's like, oh no.
Yeah, it would have been over. It would have been over for him.
So, I mean, no, I think after seeing the performance this past Saturday against Tigres, you have some confidence. You obviously don't want to see the same thing, I think, that happened in Honduras, because it wasn't pretty at times, in that away game. It wasn't very clean like it was against Tigres. Not saying Tigres was a perfect game still. Again, I'll re-say that. But, you want to see that team play better, and obviously win comfortably and, walk out there and, with their heads held high, with confidence on their chest, and as they get ready for the Clasico Joven and then the next round in the Conca Champions.
Yeah, no, and that's the interesting thing to talk about, because I think that's the question that we're all having, is the one that Jacob is saying. Do you guys think America should play with starters tomorrow or give the rest for the Clasico Joven? And I think that's the question that we're all kind of alluding to, is what kind of formation, or not information, what kind of starters are we going to have out there on the pitch? I mean, it just seems.
What was the lineup last week?
The lineup last week was pretty much all starters. It was Ochoa in net, then you had George Sanchez, and then you had Bruno Valdez with Cáceres, and then on the left-hand side you had Fuentes. In the midfield you had Naveda with Richard Sanchez, and then Fidalgo in the cam spot, and then out wide you had Lainez, then you had Sergio Diaz on the right-hand side, and then up top you had Federico Viñas. Which, I mean, is a pretty solid squad,
Wait, but is Diaz going to be ready? Like, I forgot he got hurt, didn't he?
Yeah, he got hurt, and the club has yet to report anything back on his injury.
So, I mean, here's the real question, though, because this honestly has to be the real question. How many starters do you put out tomorrow, knowing that you have the biggest game of the season coming up ahead on Saturday against Cruz Azul? I mean, the positive thing to take away from this is that you don't have to travel. You don't have to fly miles and miles away. You're going to be at the Estadio Azteca on Wednesday, and you're going to be at the Estadio Azteca on Saturday. So that's something to kind of maybe help out in kind of formulating the equation. But how many starters could you potentially see tomorrow?
Well, what do you consider? What are we kind of considering here? Because I feel like you can say, okay, like we'll bench Bruno, but then we'll start Cáceres and Aguilera. Like, those are both starters. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I mean,
it's kind of hard to say because I feel like that's what you do, at least for center back pairing wise. I mean, and then you give Bruno at least some type of minutes if the game allows.
Yeah. And you know what? Chris brings up a very good, interesting thing to note here. He says, America being already qualified to Liguilla with a big margin, don't you think Solari prioritizes this game?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm kind of thinking too, because we're not in the repechaje, right? Like we're top four.
We're already qualified. We don't got a war.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah. You take that into consideration as well. I think maybe you see something similar like you saw last Wednesday.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Go ahead, AJ.
It just comes to the point where it's like you don't want to put an entire squad of just the second squad, because I feel like personally you want to get themselves prepped for the Clasico Joven. That doesn't mean, okay, I'm going to take all my starters out, rest them. I mean, you can give them some playing time. I just feel like you just want keep the rhythm going for them heading into that Clasico Joven. They did well against Olympia. Could they do better at home? I'd say yes, but I just feel like Santiago Solari, he would put a similar lineup to what he did last game. Considering as well, Bayern's trying to say that we're not trying to prioritize it. I think Solari sees different. He's like, I'm gonna put my best team out there, just take Olympia out.
And I think you have to take into consideration what Santi Naveda said today, right, in the press conference, saying that the team is kind of prioritizing both competitions. They have both of them in mind, and they want to lift both trophies at the end of the tournament, at the end of the season. Excuse me. I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. But I mean, if we're going with it, I think you're right. I think we see something similar as to last week. Maybe we don't see Sergio Diaz. Maybe we see Leo Suarez if he's available. If not, then I could see Nicolas Benedetti, which I think would be a terrible idea because the man will get injured because you've seen it, AJ. He's endurance. They come in with everything they got.
Well, that's what you have to think. If you're putting Suarez out there at least too. I mean, because Suarez is gonna have to go to the right, and then you're gonna put Benedetti up behind Viñas, and then you're gonna have to put probably Nevada back in the midfield at Richard.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't see Fidalgo playing this game for some reason. I think we just see Gio.
No, I mean, yeah. No, that's true too. I forgot about Gio. Yeah.
I think you put in Gio to play that game, and then I think the rest are just as fine as you go. I don't know. Bruno scares me.
No, I'd take Bruno out still. I'd have Aguilera.
Yeah.
I feel like Jordan Silva might take it, actually. I feel like he'll get minutes.
Yeah, give him some minutes. I'd like to see Ramon Juarez as well. But I mean, just overall, we're coming in with I wouldn't say a comfortable lead. I'd just say a lead in general because it's only a 1-goal difference. I mean, the game plan is going to be plain and simple. Take the game to them, score, open the floodgates, dominate this team and crush them. This is what I want to see from America's side. It's the same thing that I've kind of been saying week in and week out. We've criticized the fact that we haven't really been the much goal scoring team that a lot of us would want us to be, especially in games where we thought that we should definitely be scoring more than 1 or 2 goals. I mean, games where Querétaro side was down to 10 men, and other games that kind of iterate something similar. So what I want to see in this match is America steamrolling past the competition because you have everything to play, everything on your favor. You're at home. You already have a pretty good victory, which means that the opposition has to open up and kind of go to you and open up spaces. And so that means that ultimately you can have more chances. You have the much more better squad, and you have the altitude that plays a factor in this. I mean, like the stars couldn't align more perfectly for America to play this game and to completely kind of steamroll through the competition. I want to see more than 3 goals scored tomorrow night. Is what I'm trying to say.
I'll be happy with 3 goals.
Please.
I mean, yes, 3 goals would be nice. But
Solari makes anything possible. If this man can let someone like Gio score a game-winning header, let Royer score a brace, I've tweeted this already. I want to see him make Chucho Lopez score a worldie. The day that happens in that tournament is the day I go nuts. You will never hear me shut up about his goal ever again or on Twitter.
Just have to have you on mute the whole episode.
Pretty much.
But all right, gentlemen, quickly, give me your prediction for the game tomorrow on Wednesday.
I got myself going. I'm gonna go 3-0. We're playing at home. I'm confident in this.
3-0. Alrighty then. Our beloved Cowboy is just messaged us that his prediction is going to be a 3-1 victory. A little sad that he doesn't think that we're gonna get the clean sheet, which is a bit unfortunate. But hey, whatever the case may be, I'm gonna go as bold and drastic as you can get on this episode, AJ. I'm going 5-0 America.
Oh my God.
I'm going 5-0 America. I know that's just out of the realm right now, especially when you think about this team. They're not really that goal scoring, but hey, can you imagine what a brace or what a hat trick could do for Viñas?
I mean, we managed to score, was it 10 goals against Bayamon FC? We did that once. I mean, we could do it against another squad. Can it be Olympia? Who knows?
Definitely. But Ivan saying over here, I don't know what it is, but I don't think we'll be cruising. I'm anticipating needing to bite my nails. Let's see, saying I'm hoping I'm wrong. And I think we're all saying the same thing. Chris going with a 2-0 victory for America. Jacob going with a 4-0 victory for Las Águilas del América. Ivan questioning my 5-0, saying, are we betting the house? AJ, are we betting the house?
Yes, we're betting the house.
We're betting the house. We're betting the house and maybe even the toilet. One thing's for sure, though. We're definitely betting our cousins. Isn't that right, Jacob? And yeah, I mean, what more could we say? What more could we say on that aspect? But that is tomorrow's matchup. You guys can catch it. That is going to be 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. And that game is going to be live via through the NA. You guys can catch that over on our Twitter as well at Eagle Eye Podcast. We'll keep you guys up to date minute by minute. All right, AJ, we ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty then. With that said, before we move on into our next segment and we introduce our very special guest, before that, we do want to introduce. We do want to remind everyone that today's episode is brought to you guys by none other than Footcult. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys check out footcult.com and get a discount code of 10% off when you guys use the code EEP at checkout. Again, that is discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off. And AJ, I don't know if you've seen this, but it's been all over the world of Twitter, and that is the shorts that they just dropped not so long ago. I'm talking just talking about 2-3 days ago. I mean, they are just blowing up. The pre-sales are just going crazy. And if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys go check them out. They are just Jorge Campos-esque, right?
Yes, sir. Already caught mine. I caught mine today. So I saw that. I'm like, I need that because I'm in dire need of shorts.
Definitely. And did you use the discount code?
Yes, sir. Of course. I always do.
And if you guys aren't using the discount code, you guys are missing out because it's 10% off, guys. Come on. Might as well just use it. And again, if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys check them out. And again, those shorts are chef's kiss. Let's just put it that way. Alrighty then. AJ, we ready to move on?
Yes. Ready whenever you are.
Alrighty then. Well, I'm glad that you're back, Dylan. Did you copy your shorts already?
We will discuss after the podcast.
Alrighty then. All right. Make sure you guys copy your shorts and use the discount code EP at checkout. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Footcult, for making this possibility. All right, gentlemen, it's time to talk the big game, the biggest game of the weekend. I don't know whether you're talking Premier League or whether you're talking Bundesliga. It doesn't matter. None of those games are going to come close to this game whatsoever. And to help us preview this game is a very good friend of ours. It's someone that's been on the podcast before, and it is going to be our rival and neighbor for this matchup on Saturday. With a warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podcast from the Machina ENG. It is none other than Oscar himself. Oscar, woo! How are you, my friend?
Yeah. Woo! Hey guys, thanks for having me again. It's always a pleasure, even if you guys are America fans.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on, my good friend. It's always nice to be able to talk. And it always seems to be that whenever we do, it's always usually us coming at it with what everyone anticipates to be the game of the week. And rightfully so this time a little bit more than any other. I mean, I don't know if we've ever seen such a well split league. At this point, it just seems to be America and Cruz Azul kind of just leading the headlines. I mean, how are you coming into this personally, and how do you think the team themselves are coming into this?
I think you summed it up perfectly. I think in just recent, I think I want to say in a few years now, I think the Clasico Joven now has been, in a way, has taken over, at least on the field, has taken over the Clasico Nacional in terms of every time we come up against each other, we're always both in great form. When it's America or Chivas, usually you guys are always in at least good form, and Chivas are kind of in shambles. But Clasico's kind of things go out the window. But and in this case, like you said, both teams, every time we meet up, it's for at least pick up 3 big important points, or even we're fighting for those top 2 places, But me personally right now, I'm confident. I'm not 100% confident, but we're playing some decent football. We're top of the league right now, but you always got to be worried about good teams, So I'm not gonna say we'll dive in a little bit more later, but to say that I think we're gonna win 3-0 on Saturday, that's not the case.
That's not the case, but AJ will definitely make that bold prediction, isn't that right, AJ? Kidding.
Probably.
No, you're right though. I think it's an interesting it's an interesting kind of dilemma that we're in, because you're right. I think the Clasico Joven, at least in the past decade, has had a little bit more merit to kind of being called a true Clasico rather than the Clásico Nacional. I mean, we've had finals already. We've had, encounters in Liguillas. I mean, the list goes on. We've had a little bit more of an intense rivalry than we may had with Chivas. Of course, I think maybe the Clásico with Guadalajara has a little bit more of a back history with it. But it is an intense one, and I think that it paints to be a really good one. And that's why I said no matter what league you're watching this weekend, if you're not watching America Cruz Azul, I don't know what you're doing, because these are two teams, two juggernauts going at it on Saturday, and it paints for something really well. But talk to me a little bit more about your market. How are they doing? How are they coming into this one? I know you guys just beat Chivas, which we're always glad to see whenever they lose. I mean, how's the team coming into this?
Well, as you know, we won Chivas, but not only did we win Chivas, we picked up our 12th consecutive win. We're now in the history books for the good reasons, for a good reason this time. We're with the likes of Leon from was Leon 2017 or 2018 when he picked up the 12 wins. And then Necaxa from the 30s, which they pulled that out of nowhere. They never brought up Necaxa, but yeah, but we're in the talks with that in terms of consecutive wins. But yeah, like I said, we're playing some decent football. Not the most perfect football at times, but I think this is the perfect comeback season, or the perfect bounce back after that horrific Liga we just had.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's still fresh in all of you guys' minds as to how that kind of all went down. But you're right. You guys are in the history book. You guys have that momentum going with you guys. But it's not to say that I think America don't understand that and are kind of aware of that. And I think if it isn't for that drastic, unfortunate situation at Atlas, AJ, we're coming into this one maybe just a little bit better, because we definitely would be at the top of the table. So maybe that's something to consider as well. Or Oscar, do you think about that as well, as saying, you know what, America technically should be in front of us if it wasn't for that Atlas game?
I don't know if you'd be in front of us, but I don't know. Like you said it in the beginning. Right now, we're the best two teams in Liga MX points wise. We're just by far just ahead of everyone. It's just we're in a league of our own right now. I did a podcast last night with Cruz Azul fans, and I was just telling them that Club America are no joke. Right now, I feel like all the media spotlight's on us. It's weird in the positive way, and a team like America, they're not really getting that respect or that kind of heightened gas up that they usually get. If I'm not mistaken, you guys are 11 consecutive wins, right?
Correct.
You would have 12 if it wasn't for that silly Atlas game. But yeah, I have been watching you guys. I watch you guys against Tigres. You guys look really, really impressive. Collectively as a whole, I really like the whole team. I'd say, I don't know if you want to correct me here. I think your weakest point, maybe if you have a weak point, is your defense, and I only say that because you do concede a lot of goals at times. But I think you guys have the second best defensive record, something like that. We have the first right now, but comparing that to your midfield and your front line, I just feel like you guys are really, really strong, and I think you guys edge us just a little bit in terms of kind of the style of play. If Cruz Azul played more like the Solari style, I feel like fans would probably be more onto the Reynoso train, because sometimes they don't like the fact that he kind of he likes to sit back. He likes to protect the lead. You know what I mean? Which is not the biggest problem, because at the end of the day he's picking up the points. But yeah, it's pretty much an equal matchup this coming Saturday.
Definitely, I agree. I think you put it perfectly, Dylan. I mean, you just mentioned we're the third best defensive team in the league and the best offensive team. Believe it or not. After I just went on a rant about how America can't finish their goals and how we haven't looked as sharp as usual. But how do you think the fans are coming into this one, Dylan? I mean, you see it on Twitter, you interact with them, and you get to see kind of the perspective that we're coming into this one. Do you think that there's kind of this mutual respect that we're there's two juggernauts going at it on Saturday, or do you think there's this kind of sense of that America still has one over Cruz Azul?
I think you really, if you look at it objectively, especially from my point of view, like I'm coming in, respecting Cruz Azul, seeing their lineup, seeing how they can play too. But there's always going to be that fan out there too that's just not like we have one up on Cruz Azul. So that's just the way I see it and how I feel. But I'm respecting Cruz Azul coming into this game. I think we kind of said it best too. In our group chat, that. This is probably going to be Solari's biggest test this season so far in his tenure with the America. So, I think it's going to be a fun game. I'm looking forward to it. But for me and probably some fans, I think we're coming in and respecting Cruz Azul's game.
But I think that could be a little bit of a downplay to this game, because I think if both teams come into this one respecting each other a little bit too much, you're going to see a little bit of a snooze fest. So I think that Cruz Azul has a little bit of an edge to it, and I think that you guys might definitely come at us. But I don't think Solari is going to be the type to say, you know what, we're just going to sit back and we're kind of just going to, soak up the pressure and let it be. I think he's definitely going to try to take the game to it as well. That's why I think that it's going to be a good sparring match. It's to see kind of who throws the first blow, and then see if the game kind of opens up from there, which I think could show for something promising. Will there be a lot of goals? I don't know, but I do anticipate a lot of chances. And we'll see which team is a little bit more clinical. I would say you guys have the more clinical striker at the moment, but hey, Roger Martinez is knocking at that door, isn't he, AJ?
Oh yes, he's ready. After he scored 2 goals, I'm like thinking at this point this man can do anything in the world now. This Solari makes dreams be into reality at this point. So,
well, here's a question for you, Oscar. It looks like Chris is saying, is depth concerning for Cruz Azul at the moment? I read some Cruz Azul fans last week in the CONCACAF that you guys lack depth. Is that true?
In a sense, yes and no. In terms of having a depth of 11 brand new guys that can step up in the roles of a first team players, yes. But if you're talking about at least just having maybe 3 or 4 guys that can come off the bench, and put an impact, then I said we do have the depth of a squad like that. To put a little more context on our draw against the Haitian team, which right now we're up 2-0 comfortably. We fielded 11 guys for the most part who had not played professional football for at least 6 months. Some players haven't even played for a year, like our whole back line. Then you just had guys who just don't have regular first team football in general, just playing professional soccer. So I think it's kind of this thing, you know what I mean? When you go for one of the big four, it's a double-edged sword. If you're not winning all the time, it's like the end of the world. So I think everything got thrown out a little bit out of context and a bit an exaggeration. Just right now, looking at I have the game in the background and we're up 2-0 and only 18 minutes in, and I can, without really diving into the game, it looks like they're just dominating. It's on the opposition's half. But yeah, in terms of overall depth for a Mexican league team, I'm not really worried about it, just because I think we do have the depth. But would I like it to have it be deeper? Of course, I think any team would like that.
Interesting. Alrighty then. Ivan coming in saying respecting the opponent doesn't mean you don't play your game plan. It just means you are selective with your risks. I think he definitely is spot on in regards to that aspect. AJ, how can we? What are we anticipating from America this Saturday? What are we going to get from Solari's side? Because it seems that we're finally putting together a side and we're finally putting a game plan that we see week in and week out. What do you think the strategy is going to be coming into this one?
Ooh, it's say at least I really don't know, because it's Solari's first tenure as a Club America manager. He got one Clasico out of the way. That's against Chivas. Now it's against the Cruz Azul side that are chasing for history right now. They're tied with Leon with 12 wins since 2019. Cruz Azul, they're going in it for the win. They want it. They want to break that record. Solai, on the other hand, he realized he can also make history as well. He'll tie with Piojo Herrera for the most points in America manager, with Piojo had 37. Solai has 34. I think in this game, he's going to feel that the best starting 11 he could possibly have to face against Cruz Azul. And it's going to be a back and forth match. Cruz Azul, just they show no mercy to their teams. Look where they're at right now. Look how they've just been decimating opponents left and right. America, on the other hand, the same exact thing. Despite that Atlas film that we had, from every game, we looked solid. And from there, we were slowly building up our game plan. And I feel like at this point, Solai is just, like I mentioned before, he's trying to feel his best starting 11 possible and try to bring the game over to Cruz Azul. I feel like he's going to utilize a lot of the wings because that's why I feel like that's where we've been doing a lot. We usually either give it to Mario Lainez or if it's the Leo Suarez, Gio Dos Santos, Cordova, whoever the case that might be on the wing and cross it in. If that ball gets rebounded, expect one of our midfielders, whether that be Pedro Aquin or Richard Sanchez or Santi Naveda, and just go for that rebound and go for a shot. If then we're always going to be looking forward to just give the ball to our forwards as much as we can. Even though if it sees it, like whether it's like with Venus, we haven't been given the ball much. Whenever an opportunity strikes for America, we're gonna definitely pass to whoever's up front, whoever that can be, and they get a shot and they go for a shot on target against Cruz Azul.
Definitely. And there's one thing to note, Dylan, is as to whether or not we're gonna have Henry Martin available for this matchup. But if we don't, I think that we're in a promising position seeing a Roger Martinez that is finding his form, his feet in an America side, and potentially a Viñas that if he's able to score a couple of goals on Wednesday, might come in, a little bit on a hot streak. So it paints for a promising, at least, attacking side. No.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. We just have to bank on those scenarios, like you said. I mean, you said Roger gaining form. I mean, we said that too. In the next game, we don't really hear from or see him, and then you're asking Venus to score a goal to come Wednesday, and so we'll see if that happens too. But yeah, you're just kind of hoping for those things if Henry's not ready, but I hope he is, but we'll just have to wait and see.
And even if he's ready, that's a big ask, to come into a game like this, and you haven't played since the Mazatlan game, and even then you didn't even get that much minutes. So it's gonna be interesting to see what striker starts for America. And look, Chris has been very active on the chat, and I want to give him the task of giving us what he thinks the Club America starting 11 is going to be against Cruz Azul. And while he mocks that up, and then we'll kind of agree or disagree with that. Oscar, I'm curious to see what your starting 11 or what a Cruz Azul starting 11 will be for this Saturday.
Yeah, so Juan Reynoso, it's kind of hard to predict starting 11 with Juan Reynoso as well, just because of I guess he's really good at adapting to the opponent. I think he sets up the team to play the opponent in the occasion. Which has its benefits and also has its negatives as well, But I think, our back line will probably be the same with Chuy, Cata Dominguez. I think Juan Escobar will probably go center back because I just saw that Pablo Aguilar is actually suspended for the game against America because of too many yellow cards. And then left back, believe it or not, we've been having the likes of Shaggy Martinez starting games, but Nacho Rivero's back, and I think he just tips him over Shaggy Martinez at left back. And then right back, it was Juan Escobar, but since no Pablo Aguilar, we're probably going to have to field Shaggy there. So that's going to be interesting to see the defensive end. And then the midfield, it varies. I want to say it's going to be between like a Rafa Vaca, Paul Fernandez, Orbelin Pineda, Luis Romo, with Cabecita alone up top, I think. But yeah, it'll vary. But our main staple points, like the guys you guys should be worried about, they're going to be playing, like a Luis Romo, Cabecita Rodriguez, Chuy Corona. Is that going to be the same case for you guys? Because I know, like I said, I've been watching as much games in general in Liga MX, and anytime I see the match, I see someone like a Fidalgo, the kid's an absolute, at least for me. I don't know if you guys rate him, but I think he's absolutely class. He's still very young, and he breaks up the lines really well. You know what I mean? He really opens up the space for your offensive end. And Roger Martinez picking up form. Even like you guys mentioned, even someone like Gio Dos Santos is starting to come alive again. I wanted to mention too, it's kind of be an interesting clash of two new coaches into the Liga MX, Solari and Reynoso. Their first tournament, and they're, guns blazing. They're both top of the league right now, which is another interesting thing. I don't think Solari's getting that respect either in the media in terms of how he just transitioned really well into Liga MX and is already on top of the table with Cruz Azul.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting thing to note. Kind of, that both managers are coming into this in pretty hot, and like you mentioned, kind of a first year. What do they call it? I forget the proper term for it, but yeah, you're right. They're coming in hot, and yeah, I think they're both being a little bit downplayed by the media because of they're newcomers, and for them to make it look so
Not even
easy.
first
It's like
year, just first. What the win? First 4 months into the job, and look where they are.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't know, Dylan. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know, because you know how some fans were whenever Solari was hired. Some people were like on board, some people were just like, "Nah, this ain't it." And yeah, I know that was you. I was pretty excited, but like at the same time, I was just kind of like, okay, like how's this gonna go? Like, how are we gonna struggle like this whole season? Like, how are things gonna look? But I think in some ways you saw this team progress like week in and week out, which is pretty exciting to see, and has me on board the Solari train now. So, yeah, I think it's just pretty awesome, exciting to see the way these coaches have performed, and really deserve the credit where credit's due, which isn't exactly always the case in the Mexican media and everything.
No, interesting. AJ, I mean, anything else to add on that?
No, I mean, I think it's really pretty well said. I mean, as well with Juan Reynoso, this is the same guy that literally took Puebla into Repechaje and just knocked Monterrey out and surprised anyone. If ain't that, I feel like he was the one that kind of gave life to Santi Ormeño. Because look at this man now; he's kind of just like one of like the hot topics in Liga MX and in Mexico. Potentially could get a call up at some point for the Mexico national teams. And some teams are kind of looking at him. It felt like the same thing when Cavallini was back at Puebla, and everyone's like, we kind of want this guy. There was that point as well when America, we wanted Cavallini, and we swapped him with Henry Martin. But yeah, no, it's going to be pretty interesting. Just two coaches, Juan Retos, it's his first time for Cruz Azul, and look what he's doing. He's about to make history. Solari as well. He's about to make history too. And what better yet to fight against your bitter rivals in possibly the best match, I'd say, for this season. The two giants of Liga MX in this season are going to face off against each other, and I can't wait for that. Actually see who can actually make history. Is it going to be Cruz Azul, or is it going to be America?
Definitely. That is an interesting one. Definitely an interesting one. But Dylan, do you have a predicted lineup for us? Because it looks like we have some news on that.
Yeah. I just texted Christian and asked him for his, so I'll just read off Christian's. Christian's going Ochoa, Sanchez, Bruno, Aguilera, Fuentes, Fidalgo, Richard, Aquino, Cordova, Henry, and Linus.
Which is, I think exactly what we were going with. And funny enough that now Chris has sent his starting 11 as well. As going with George, Bruno, Emma, Fuentes, Aquino, Richard, Fidalgo, Linus, Cordova, and Roger if Henry isn't on the bench tomorrow. That's an interesting thing. They're almost similar if you think about it, which I think the only thing is that Bruno would be playing instead of oh no, he has Bruno there as well. Fuentes, Richard, Fidalgo, and the only difference is Roger, but I think he would put in Henry if he's available. So it's literally the same lineup.
Yeah.
So how are we feeling about that one? How are we feeling?
You want to go first, Dylan?
No, go ahead, AJ.
Pretty solid lineup. I like it. Royer, I want to see what he can do this time. This man scored a brace against Tigres. Who knows? I'll do it now. This man scores a hat trick. I'll cop his jersey. That's it. I'll cop his jersey if this happens.
All right. Okay. I like it. Dylan?
No, solid lineup. I was trying to sit here and think, but I think that's the best lineup available that Solari would have. I think I can't think of nobody that would start over anybody else in that lineup at this moment.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I think that's as good as we can get, and it's got to fill a lot of people with confidence, you know. And I think that's exactly the team that he wants, So
Yeah,
I was gonna
we'll have
say,
to.
are you still worried? I remember the last time I was on, you were worried about how kind of Luis Fuentes is kind of a liability at the back. Do you still feel like that?
Not so much as when we last spoke. I mean, we were just talking about it before you got on the podcast. He's really stepped up his game. Um, I mean, AJ, I think you praised him very much well. I mean, he's been doing things really good for us.
Yeah, no, like I remember his first time at America, which was honestly like one of the seasons where we criticized a lot of players. He arguably was possibly our best signing, and he was a lone player at the time. The next season, not so much, but this season, like you, I feel like he's probably one of the most underrated players in this America squad. Just from him as a left back, despite him not having the pace, I think he just like every other characteristic you can ask for in a left back, and that's pretty good. And like you said, with the line that we have in our defense, Solari has made a lot of these defenders who are under Piojo criticize so much by the fans. We look at them now, it's like everyone's pretty solid, and especially Fuentes. I feel like not too many people are giving the credit that he deserves.
No, yeah. You know what? The one thing that does worry me and the thing that does scare me coming into this game is that kind of Romo and Cabecita partnership that that long ball that that's dangerous because if it's one thing that we've seen with America these past couple of games is that the drop of the shoulder is definitely something that we've definitely been hurting badly. It seems that we always get beat, for pace or whatever the case may be. It always seems that defenders seem to find a way, behind our defenders, and that is a worrisome sign when you have a player like Romo who can find Cabecita or who can find whoever is in that space or has that kind of gap to kind of run in behind the defenders. That is definitely something to worry about, and that's something that we kind of have to keep an eye out on. But I mean, aside from that, the defense, like we've mentioned, week in and week out, they've been working quietly under the radar, haven't really been gotten that much praise. Yeah, sure, we let in a goal here and there, but for the most part, we've looked much more solid than we have been under Piojo, and that is some testament. So, I mean, we just said it, third best defensive team in the league. And we probably would have been the second if it wasn't for those 3 goals that we have against us because of, the Atlas game. Again, it's like where would we be if it wasn't for that game?
Yeah, I remember I watched that podcast of yours when at the game after when that happened, and that was just so funny because you guys couldn't believe it how something so little, like you would think whoever made that mistake, like they would have to be fined or like even fired. If you compare it to like your regular job, in the regular workplace of it, like if you had made a mistake, something like that, like you would have to been written up or fined or even possibly fired. I mean, who knows? Like, say if you were in another position where like you guys were battling it out for one of those last positions, and you had lost 3 points like that, some serious consequences would have to been paid for. That was just crazy though. That was just typical League MX. No, the beauty of the league.
Winners on the pitch, losers in the office.
That was the title of the episode.
That was a funny one.
Credit to Dell. You sounds like that's a perfect title to go with on the podcast.
Yeah, no, it still haunts us to this moment, right? Because it's like,
and the fact that what happened too after that when Atlas got the 3 points for disqualification, Atlas went on this amazing run too until they faced us again, and we just brought them back down to earth. And
that's what I said.
And I was talking to Cesar from the Mexican soccer show when I think he had me on that week to preview the game because Atlas was actually doing decent for the first time ever in a long time, and we're just telling him ever since he just picked up that little disqualification points, they've been on a roll, but now they're kind of back to normal, so it's good to see that it hasn't really affected you guys that much, other than the fact that possibly you guys would have been top of the league right now because it's only 2 points separating us, right? If I'm mistaken.
Only 2 points. Yep.
Yeah, so right now it's going to be the battle for first place if the team really won it. The only thing I am worried about though a little bit is it's being scripted to be this amazing match, right? Like
Yeah.
goal factor wise, we're pretty similar. You like you said, you're the best attacking duo in the league right now. I think that really helped. You scored 3 against Tigres, and we only scored 1 against Chivas, which we should have won at least 3-0, 4-0, possibly. But defensive record wise, we're pretty equal. Points wise, we're pretty equal. It's being scripted to be a great match. The only thing I'm really worried about or anxious is going to be not going to live up to the expectations, just because it's either going to be this boring, tedious match where both teams kind of played reserved a little bit. They want to not risk the points, maybe, which is understandable. You know what I mean? You know, it's just how the game goes. You know, sometimes, or it's going to be this other thing, this grand spectacle game of the year, possibly. You know what I mean? Which is knock on wood. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, that's my only worry for both fan bases and just general fan bases of the sport that will tune into the game. It's going to be this boring fest a little bit.
No, yeah, I agree with you. You know, forget your Bayern and your PSGs. This is the game you got to watch on the weekends.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
This is the one that's going to come close to being the game of the year. At least that's, like you mentioned, that's what is being painted as, and hopefully we'll see that play to fruition. But Dylan, in order for it to be the game of the year, what does America have to do in order to kind of, you know, make sure that we keep Cruz Azul at bay and also, you know, be as offensive and as dangerous as we can be?
I think kind of going back to, I can't remember who said it in the chat, but kind of go back to I think it was Ivan actually that said it in the chat. I still think you got to respect Cruz Azul, but you got to know where to take your chances, where to take your risks, and you know, I think Rodriguez is going to be one of those key players where yeah, there you go. Thank you for pulling up. I think Rodriguez is going to be one of those players that's going to be players we have to watch out for. I think Aquino and Richard, not so much Richard as Aquino, but I think they're going to have a pretty good day's work cut out for them come Saturday in that midfield. And then, you know, if Bruno starts and then whoever's there right there with them, you know, I think they're going to have the work cut out for them too the whole night. I think if you get that down and you pick your risk and you be selective with it about when to push forward and, you know, just take those risks and chances, then I think we're going to be sitting pretty solid.
Definitely. AJ, anything else to add on to that?
No, Dan put it perfectly.
Alrighty then. Oscar, what do you guys have to do in order to keep us at bay and, you know, be the more offensive side?
For me, we just have to contain that front line and just really not give any space to someone like a Fidalgo or Cordova who really break those lines. Break those lines to kind of get someone like a Roger Martinez, Henry Martin on the ball to score goals. Just putting the pressure on them, not giving them any space or time to think on the ball, because otherwise, you know, as you've seen, you guys are the best scoring team in the league right now. You know, you score goals for fun, it seems like. You know, I think what you did to Tigres to me was really kind of like a real wake up call. If we don't defensively are on point with our pressing, I think pressing should be key, because I think you guys are going to be the ones that are going to dictate the possession. You guys are usually good on possession. The last few games, I think you guys are close to like the 60% margin, even when you're up. So that just shows you're not afraid to dominate the ball and have the ball and progress with it. Well, I think we're going to be the ones that kind of do the counter. But like you said, it could be that 50-50 battle, which is going to be all out war. But I think just in general, just on the defensive end, we just got to be wary, and we just got to be all on point. And we can't be too confident thinking just because we're on this winning streak that we can just steamroll against anybody and anyone, but especially in a Clasico Joven, where anything can happen.
No, you're right. You're definitely right on that aspect. Dylan, AJ, quickly, what is the one player for you that needs to have a stellar game in order for America to walk away with 3 points?
I got myself going with Pedro Aquino in this match. He's got to be the man of the match. He dictates that midfield. He's just a machine. He will do anything to his ability to help his team out possible. And if there is a ball right for him and there's no right in front of him, expect him to take that long shot and let that ball go top bins.
Okay, I like it, Dylan.
I'm gonna have to call out Fidalgo on this one if he's ready to go that game. I think especially with Pablo Aguilar out, I think you want to see him step up and just keep doing his thing. Playing his game. Getting past a couple defenders. Making those right passes, and I think we'll be solid up there if Cruz Azul has a hard time containing that front line.
Definitely, Oscar. Who's your man to look out for in the Cruz Azul jersey?
Without a doubt, Luis Romo, the best player in my opinion. He's up there with the best player of the league so far of the season. In my opinion, the most informed Mexican player, even the ones in Europe. He's an army Swiss knife. He can defend, he can attack, he can create, he can intercept passes, he can score goals. He does it all. I think he didn't show it much against but the national team against Costa Rica. He showed one of his tools, and he was the best player then. But he's just quality, and that was just one glimpse of what the Mexican fans and worldwide fans were able to watch. So I think Luis Romo, if he's on it, in all his duties, is it's going to be interesting. That battle between Aquino and Luis Romo, that'll be interesting because I think he's up there too with one of the best players so far again this season. Awesome pickup for you guys from Leon. I don't know how they let him go.
And they took also as well.
Shout out to them.
America had to pay good money. They've had to pay it at least.
It brings up as well. Who was dumber, Chivas for taking Oribe Peralta from us, or Leon for just accepting also Gonzalez and give us Pedro Aquino? That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, apparently, also has been doing decent. No, with Leon. I know I listened to the Lions Den podcast, and I think early on they were kind of like praising him a little bit. I don't know how he's been doing now, but that's true. America has done some great business. I guess they literally sold their best player, in my opinion. I think, other than like Mena, I guess, but he does the goals and stuff. But getting rid of a player that vital in that position of the field, that's just really, really, I don't know. I don't know who in the business end over there was like, yeah, let's get rid of him.
I don't know, man. Also was the one to let up that last minute goal for America for them to win.
yeah, I remember that.
No, from your guys' standpoint, he's he was not great, but for Leon, I heard he's been decent.
Don't. It's just he's not good. He's not good at all.
He's all right. I mean, he's playing professional soccer in Mexico. He can't be too bad.
He's getting paid. I'm not getting paid for that, so props to him.
I guess we'll see. Well, when you put into context, Aquino also, we already know who takes that one. But
obviously, great business on your end, guys.
Definitely. All right, gentlemen, I guess only one thing left to do is ask each and every single one of you right now, is this the game where we bet the house, we bet our cousins, or we bet our toilets? What are we betting on this one, AJ?
Let's bet the house.
We're betting the house.
Yeah,
Dylan?
betting the house. Oof.
I don't think I'm betting the house.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Jacob is definitely betting his cousins because he's saying, I honestly don't see us losing another game. I think we don't have to worry about the remontada in Liguilla as much as we used to with Piojo. And so, if anything, I think Jacob's saying we're definitely betting the house. He's betting his cousins, which I think is worrying them again, because it's another week that they have to think about whether or not they're going to be at home the next day. It's going to be interesting. But talking to Christian on the side, he's saying that we bet the house as well. Isn't that right, Dylan?
Yes, that is correct.
So again, we do not look. At the end of the day, this is what we like to tell you guys at the Eagle Eye Podcast. Oh well, that's not the right one. But at the end of the day, the disclaimer is still the same. Please gamble responsibly. This segment is just for entertainment purposes only. Look, it's a close one. You'd be really, really, really risky to put it all on the line and to say, you know what, we're betting the house on this one. Jacob having a good laugh right there. But I think you can't go wrong with at least betting goals in this matchup. I think we're gonna get at least 2 goals in this one. You know,
Yeah, there has to be.
there has to be. I don't think we're gonna see another 0-0 in this one. It just paints for something to happen in this one. So, Oscar, what is your prediction for Saturday?
Oh man, I said it was gonna be 1-1 when I was talking to some Cruz Azul fans last night. I'm gonna stick with that. But like you said, there's gonna be goals at the most. I just don't know. It's hard to predict. You know, this sport this is why I hate when I ever do like any type of sports betting, especially in soccer. Like you just don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I like playing it safe. I'm gonna say it's gonna be like a one. I'm gonna say it's 1-1 because it can really go either way. I'm gonna break even. I'm not gonna lose any money.
All right, I like it. AJ, prediction.
Just like what Jacob and I had in my mind, we think of like 3-2 America. America's winning that.
3-2 America,
I want
5 goals. Oh
bets.
my gosh. Oh, I don't know if my heart could take that kind of stress. Dylan, prediction.
All right. Y'all ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
A 2-2 draw.
A 2-2 draw. That's just almost as much as goals as that 3-2. I like it. I've been going with America scores a game winner in the last 5 minutes. Doesn't give us an actual scoreline prediction. It could be an 11-10. Can you imagine that?
Oh my gosh.
That would be something. I don't think any of us could even get past the first half if that was true. But I'm gonna go very conservative. I'm gonna go very reserved. I'm gonna say this game's gonna be a bit of a snooze fest, even though I predicted it to be otherwise. I'm going with America nicking it just at the end, 1-0, with a very controversial goal.
Oh boy.
With a very controversial goal.
Okay.
But
does VAR get involved or just controversial?
Just controversial. Well, I mean, VAR is always gonna have to get involved because they have to review it.
No, they might not get involved. That's why VAR is gonna be controversial.
Oh, that's true. It could be the case. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm going with a controversial goal. America nicks it at the end. But either way, look, it doesn't matter. Our predictions never really actually come to fruition, do they, AJ, here on the podcast? At the end of the day, this game is going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, a good and entertaining one that at least both fans walk away with and say, you know what, it was a good game. So we'll have to wait to see whether or not it actually all pays off. But any last words before we kind of wrap it up, guys?
I don't got anything.
No.
No one? Oscar, you good too?
No, just it's always a pleasure being on here, guys, and keep on doing what you're doing. And let's just hope, like you said, let's hope for be the game of the year for us, especially all the entertaining football that was on today and the whole day in general. Let's hope we ended off with positively on the end of the week.
I like it. Well, a reminder that this game is going to be live via Through the NA at 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 Central, 10 Eastern. You guys can catch that live. Again, I mentioned Through the NA, and you guys can follow it over on Twitter at Eagle Eye Podcast. I will have you guys covered for that game, and I'm excited to tweet it out and hopefully not lose my nerve or my cool while doing so. But again, we want to thank our guest, Oscar, for coming on to the show. I know that you had a game to be watching right now at the moment. Let us know how Cruz Azul is doing at the moment.
We're up 3-0 halftime.
3-0. Well, you guys are coming in with a pretty good chunk of goals under your belts. We'll have to wait to see what America does again tomorrow. Which reminder of you guys, we have Champions League again tomorrow for America going up against Olympia. Should be an interesting one. Again, AJ, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come out. And Dylan, it's been so long since we've had you, so thank you for coming out. Showing us your Cowboys ways once again, and excited and fingers crossed for you to be back sometime very, very soon.
Yeah, man, definitely. I'm excited to be back, but too bad this is going to be the only time for a while now.
And verified Cowboy Dan now.
Yeah,
True.
The last time I was on, he's been verified. A celebrity
Yeah,
following.
verified Cowboy Dan. You doesn't get any better than that. But to everyone out there watching and to everyone that interacted, thank you so much. We hope you guys have a wonderful time. We'll be back next week to talk all things America in regards to the Clásico Nacional. Recap on that, and then we'll look forward into the game again. Sorry, Clásico Joven. But hey, it's overlapping the Clásico Nacional at this point, you know. So
I think it is. Chivas is
so-
only gonna get. That's a whole nother podcast. But for me, they're gonna keep going down. They can't compete.
and let's hope they go all the way down.
I take that.
Hey, I would too. I definitely would too. But yeah, we'll be back next week to recap that, and then we'll look up ahead into the Toluca matchup, and of course, a lot more stuff coming our way in regards to that aspect. You guys have a wonderful night. You guys stay safe out there. Please wear your mask, and as always, we'll be seeing you guys next week on Tuesday. Alrighty then, you guys have a wonderful night. Take care, and as always, Arriba America. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you may listen.